Hello, my name is Oishawemi Ajogre, and I'm going to be doing presentation on creating a travel vlog on overseas trip. So I created a slide to explain my experience on creating a travel log on overseas, which has to do with physics and its principles. So right here on my first slide, there's a question which states identify the physical principles in various real world of physics. So according to the question, my own best answer to that question was to explain the basic of history, the history of physics, the way physics generated. So on my slide, I attached the history of physics. So the history of physics to it. So and I went ahead to explain on my explanation here was the word physics comes from a Greek word for nature and harking back to a time when ancient Greek philosophers were beginning to wonder if the event they noticed in the natural world had caused outside from gods and magic. So this physics were self-titled and natural philosopher, and in many ways they had a lot of things wrong. For instance, Aristotle observed that rocks sank in water. So in rock sank in water and fire rose in the air, and called these four elements. He believed rocks sank because nature position was below that of water, and that water had a natural position below air, and that fire natural position was to be highest of them all. So it climbed up. So this Aristotle believed that because of the flame of fire, it goes up, and rock, because of the density of rock, it sinks below the water, and because of the position, yeah. So that's my best explanation to physics, the history of physics. So on my third slide, there's a question right here which says, it said, the use of identify the use of the scientific method in the model physical problem. So as you can see on my slide, I went ahead to show you pictures of scholars, of physics scholars in their law. The most popular one here is Newton, which everybody knows Newton's law. So I went ahead to explain what that means to my question. So on my question, the question right here, my best answer to that question was recognize four elements, which is earth, water, four elements of physics, which is earth, water, air, and fire. And they believe earth was round and at the center of the universe. So the scholars believe that earth was round and it is at the center of the universe, and they form idea based on experimentation, and all of these scholars form an idea based on their own experimentation to what earth means in the history of physics. So they shot to supplant religion explanation. They added physics to religion explanation too, and explained for the nature world with physics, with what the world means according to physics, and believed last thousands of years upon to time of the scientific revolution. So that's my best answer to this very question. So I'm going to quickly go ahead, and I have my fourth slide too. And the question on this slide was identify the use of classical physics and principles in the relations to the real life and situation. So on my answer to that was modern physics was that modern physics include quantum theories and relativity when applicable. A physical system can be described by classical physics, and when it's satisfied conditions such that the law of physics of classical physics are approximately valid. Newton's Newton's mechanic. Yeah. So that's my best explanation to that question. So I'm going to go ahead to explain my fifth slide, which says identify physics principle in various real world example and content to your own experience. So my answer to that question was physics extend well into your everyday life, describing the motion, force, and energy of ordinary experience in actions such as walking, driving, driving a car, or using the phone. Physics is at work for every living. All the technologies you might take for granted explore the role of physics. What I mean is that physics is in everyday life, a basic life, like driving, and all of that has to do with physics. So that's my best explanation to that question. So I'm going to go ahead to my sixth slide. Identify physics principles in various real world examples in modern technology. So my answer to that question was any sort of technology which we use in our daily life is related to physics. Physics is the science of matters and its motion, space, time, and energy. Physics describes many forms of energy, such as kinetic energy, electrical energy, and mass, and the way energy can change from one form to another. So that's my best answer to that question. So I'm going to go ahead and explain my next slide. So the question on that slide is identify a technology that use quantum mechanic and connect your own experience that connect that to your own experience. So my answer to that question is objects in quantum physics are neither particles nor wave. They are a strange combination of both. There is a rule that physicists often use to separate classical physics from quantum. If Planck constants appear in the equations, it is quantum physics. If it doesn't, it is classical physics. Quantum history is theoretical based on model physics and explain the nature and behavior of matters and energies on the atomic and subarticle level. Planck wrote a mathematical equations involving a figure to represent this individual's unit of energy, which he called quintet. So I think that's the end of my presentation. So I'm going to go ahead to attach my reference in this very video presentation below. And thank you for listening to my presentation. And as you can see on each slide, I attached a picture to it, which the first slide, the picture explained the history of physics. And on the second slide, I attached the law of physics. And on the fourth, I went ahead to explain the classical physics and model physics. So the classical physics has to do with mechanical and others. So I just went ahead. I attached the picture explaining what I mean. And so thank you for listening, and I hope you understand. Thank you. Bye bye.